Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Nazir Daf Yudalef Amud Aleph 11A1 says the Mishnah. Mazgulo et akos amar areni nazir mimenu. Imagine I pour you a cup of wine and you say I'm a nazir from it. Umase beisha achat sheita shikora. Umazgula akos amra areni nazira mimenu. There was a story with a woman that she was shikora. They poured her a cup of wine and she said she's a nazira from it. Amru chachamim lo nitkavna zo lomar arehu alai kekorban. He says no, she only had kavanah to prohibit to her this cup as a neder, not to become a mash a nazira. You understand? So therefore, it comes out that it's only mimenu. It's only from it. It's not that the mamash they're nazirim. They just don't want to have this cup of wine. Okay, it says the Gemara. What the story is a proof against the Mishnah. Meaning, usually, whenever we have a Mishnah and there's a story in the Mishnah, the story comes as a proof. Here, the story is coming as a refutation, as against the Mishnah. Amarta Reisha, you just said in the Reisha, Harez Nazir, meaning a person, they pour you a cup of wine, and you say, Hareni Nazir Mimenu, you're a Nazir. And then you bring down a story that you're not a Nazir. She just didn't want to have this cup of wine. What's going on? But she's permitted any other type of wine. Answers the Gemara, this is what it means to say. Meaning we're lacking part of the Mishnah. Mazgulo etakos. Yeah, if right now they're going to pour you a cup of wine and you say Hareni Nazir Mimenu, Harez Nazir, you're a Nazir. But if you were shikor and you said such a thing, you're not going to be a Nazir. My time out, what's the reasoning? There's some people that are shikorim because they're sleeping, so it's like a shikor. Right? Like the mandamar, hare alai korban hu. That it's like a korban. What does that mean? So why don't you just say that? Savari says, if you're just going to come and say that I don't want to have this cup of wine, what are they going to do? They're going to bring you another cup of wine. Because they thought that you didn't like this wine, you wanted a better wine. So bring you another one. So he says, no, but if you're going to come and therefore you said, is something which is, I'm in a zira. And that's it. They don't bring you another cup of wine. It's a good way to get out of it, no? Just say, and then that's it. They stop bothering you. If you're going to say, no, I don't like this. Okay, so they'll bring you something else. I don't like this. No. Nazira. That's it. They stop bothering you. And this was the story of the Isha Achat. Next Mishnah. Says a Mishnah. Good nod. Hareri Nazira minat she'eshote yain umetame lemetim. Imagine a person comes and he says that he is a Nazir on condition that he's going to be drinking wine or being metame lemetim. Harezi Nazir v'asur b'kulan. He's a Nazir and asur with everything, which means you cannot come and decide what you want to do. You can't say, listen, I'm a Nazir, but I want to drink wine. But I want to be metame lemetim. No, you become a Nazir. You know what achalta means? You ate it. You become a Nazir with all the conditions. There's no, meaning you can't come and say, I want to, it's either all or none. That's the way it is. Next, right? If a person comes and he says, listen, I know there's a concept of Nazirut, but I didn't know that a Nazir is not allowed to drink wine. He's not allowed to drink wine. But Rabbi Shimon says he's allowed to drink wine. Why? Because it's not considered a Nazir, because he didn't accept upon himself all the Nazirut. Imagine a person comes and says, listen, I know that a Nazir cannot drink wine, but I thought that the rabbis would be able to permit me the wine because I have to live with wine. Meaning I always drink wine, right? Wine is like my, you know what I'm saying? Is that, he says, or that's his, he's a grave digger. That's his job. Yeah. So he comes and he says, it's going to be mutar. Why? Because again, it's not mutar b'chol Yisrael nezirut keno neshav nazir, but according to Rabbi Shimon, here it's going to be asur. Says the Gemara, v'lifro nami Rabbi Shimon b'reisha. Why does the Rabbi Shimon also argue in the reisha? Which is basically, if a person comes and he says, I didn't nazir in order to, but he still wants to drink wine. Why doesn't Rabbi Shimon argue over there? So Rabbi Levi says, you're right. Rabbi Shimon also argues in the reisha. And therefore, it should say that Rabbi Shimon Matir is on both the dinim. Okay? Next, Ravina says, Bereisha lo palig Rabbi Shimon. Really, be'emet, Rabbi Shimon does not argue in the Reisha. My tama, what's the reasoning? But you're making a condition on that which was written in the Torah. And anybody that's going to make a condition on Torah, and it's going to be batel. So therefore, that's why. Meaning, you cannot come and say, I'm a Nazir, except. That's not a Nazir. You're making a condition against something which is written in the Torah. Right? So he says, Amma, right, Rabbi Yoshua Levi, according to Rabbi Yoshua Levi, Amalecha is going to tell you, I'm not bechutz tami. When you say almenat, which is on condition, it's like except, which means that you're not making like an extra condition. You're just saying hareni nazir chutz misur yain. So it's not like you're matnei al ma shekatuv b'Torah, and therefore that's a machloka between Rabbi Shimon and Chachamim. Tanya kavated the Ravina. We actually learned to write and according to Ravina, and not like the first one, which was Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. When it says Amar hareni nazir al menat shehe shotei yain u'metamel metim, the person comes and he says he's going to become a nazir on condition that he's going to be drinking wine or metamel metim. What is a nazir v'asur b'kulan? He becomes a nazir and asur with everything. Neshu matnei al ma shekatuv b'Torah. V'chol matnei al ma shekatuv b'Torah. It's now batel. It's going to be batel. Okay, next, 2 dots. Yodeani nazir asur b'yain. V'amarta reisha, you told me that reisha, it's going to be asur v'shimon matir. Right? Itmarnami, it says, hareze asur v'shimon matir. It's asur and v'shimon matir. Meaning like this. In our Mishnah, what does it say? It's mutar and v'shimon oser. Now it's saying the exact opposite. It's asur and v'shimon matir. Okay, that's why you have to change it. Or if you want, you could actually say, Lolam lo tepuch. Really, be'emet, don't change it around. Hatam, Yudalef Amuvet, Hatam Reisha, Kegon de Nazar, Mechada. There in the Reisha, you made a Nezirut on one of the things. So according to Rabbanan Damni, Dafilu Nazar el Machat, having a Nazir, Azur, according to Rabbi Shimon, that he says, Achi Azir Mikulam, it's going to be Mutar. Okay? Fine. Says the Seifa. The Seifa says the Nadar Mikulu V'Ichal Mechada. For example, you accepted upon yourself all the Nezirut, and then afterwards came the Chacham, and you said, yeah. So he says, according to Rabbanan, that he says, Afilu Nazar al Machat, even if you only made yourself into a Nazir, and one of the things it's a Nazir, Ki Michal Mechada Minay Ushri. So therefore, you could actually come and ask on one of them, which means here it's coming out of Machloka between Chachamim. Does there exist a Nazirut even on part of Nazirut? Meaning, can a person become a Nazir only on haircuts? Or can a person become a Nazir only that they're not metamem metim, they don't go to the cemetery? Or can they become they don't drink wine? So Rabbi Shimon da Amar according to Rabbi Shimon, you need all or none. Right? Even if you're going to be mitcharet and you're going to ask on it, you need to get rid of all of them. Meaning you have to because according to him, it's either all or none. So you cannot just say, I regret because of the wine. You have to regret everything. The wine, the metamem metim, and the hair. That's why we learned Rabbi Shimon is also. If you want, you could answer another answer. We're talking about nidre onasin. And this is a machlok between Rishon and Ravasi. The Taramas we learned in the Mishnah. There are 4 different types of nedarim that the rabbis permitted. Nidre ziruzim, a neder which is lizarez. Lizarez means to quicken you up. Nidre avai, a neder which is for sure that everyone understands it was just an exaggeration. Nidre shegagot, an accident, right? Which means that you didn't do it, it was an accident that you did. Or nidre onasin, or you did it as an honest. Honest means that it was like a force majeure. The Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav says of Yehuda Amar Ravasi, Arba'a nedarim alalu tzrichim neshela. That means even though we just said that it's annulled, you still need to do hatarat nedarim. You have to go to a rabbi to do hatarat nedarim. So ki amrita mishme, ki amrita kamed Shmuel, when you said it in front of Shmuel, Amali, he told me, Tanakama, what do you mean? How could it be that it says it's mutar, and then you have to do atarat nedarim? Mutar means you don't have to do nothing. When you say atarat nedarim, it's atarat nedarim. So answers the Gemara, Rabbanan sabli kishmol, Rabbanan hold like Shmuel, Rabbi Shimon hold like Ravasi. That means Rabbanan hold like Shmuel, that he says that without anything else, it's going to be mutar, and according to Rabbi Shimon, he holds like Ravasi, that you still have to come to do atarat nedarim. Let's just do the Mishnah. Mishnah says, Hareni Nazir, ve'alai legaleach Nazir. A person comes and he says that he's a Nazir. And also he has to be megaleach Nazir, which means he has to come and cut off his hair and everything like a Nazir. Shema chaviro, and his friend hears him. And he says, Va'ani, and I also. Ve'alai legaleach Nazir. I also have to do it. So each one, they come, they shave off the other one's heads. Right? And if not, megalchin nezirim acherim. So then they have to be in the dev korbanot avur giluach nezirim acherim. Then they have to come and they do this for everyone, other ones. Meaning that they could do like mishloach manot, that they interswitch between themselves. That's if they're smart. If they're smart, because again, what did each one? A person comes and he says he's going to bring a korban nazir for somebody else. The other one says va'ani, and I also. So if they're smart, shave each other, bring each other's korbanot, and then that's it. They're done. But if they're not smart, and they don't do it together, there's no sharing, right? So therefore, what happens? so then they have to bring from other people's. So then they can't bring each other, because if they bring each other, they saved each other, right? That means each one is only, now they have to bring their own plus somebody else's. Okay? Says the Gemara, so we're going to ask the following question. If the friend heard, he said, what's halacha? Does it mean I on everything? Or maybe it's only on half of it. You're going to tell me it's only on half. A reisha or a seifa is going on the first part of the Mishnah or the last part. So Tashema, we're going to try to bring a proof. The fact that they cut each other's hair and bring the korban for each other. When it says I is only said on half of it, on half of the things, not on everything. Amri, and we said in a palga de dibura mashma, a reisha or seifa. But what is it though? Is it all going on the reisha or on the seifa? The first half or the last half? Meaning, there's two different things that you said. Areni nazir, and then you said v'alai legalech nazir. I have to shave somebody's head nazir, which means I have to bring the korbanot of the nazir. So there's two different things that you said. When you say an I goes back on the former part that I'm a nazir, or does it go back on the latter part that I have to bring a korban for somebody? So it says over here a reisha or a seifa. So it says mina midekaman from the fact that it says v'alai legaleach shmamina vani is going back on that I'm a nazir also. Okay. So Elmaleh Ravuna bered Yeshua l'Rava. What? We always say that. Whenever you say va'ani, it goes back on the first. Meaning, imagine right now I said two statements, and then I say an I. An I what? An I the first part or an I the second part? Remember, the person said I'm a nazir, and number two, I'm going to cut somebody else's hair and bring their korban, which means that he's going to bring the korban naziru for somebody else. So there's two different things, right, that they said. If there's going to be two different things that they said, so what's going to be the halacha right now, right? Is it going to be on what? You understand? What on what? So he comes and he says, right? Are you always going to say, maybe I'm going to say va'ani means, right? Kula de dibura, which means that it's going to be on everything. And if it's going to be on alai, what does it mean va'alai behaminta on this thing? So he comes and he says, va'alai behaminta, he comes and he says, what does it mean? He says, it's on this. So when he says va'ani, and it's I, behaminta, on this thing. You're not going to say that. Can you say, let's see the seifa. I'm going to cut off half the nazir. What does that mean? In the Shema Chavirot, he says, va'ani alai legaleh chatzi nazir. Does that make sense? Can you say the two different things, va'ani and shutafut? Elamai kamar alai, what does it mean alai? Behaminta on this thing that we just mentioned. Hachanami, so to hear, ki kamar alai, when you say alai on me, behaminta, it means a kavanah on the what we just said right now. Okay? Fine. Elmaleh Rava. Rava comes and he says, Hachi Asha, can you compare both cases? Iyam Rabbi Shlomo, if you're going to tell me now, Reisha Tzricha, right, that you need the Reisha, the first part, the Seifa Lo Tzricha, and you don't need the last part. Tani Seifa Do Lo Tzricha Mishum Reisha De Tzricha, are you going to teach me the Seifa that you don't need because of the Reisha that you do need? Elayam Reisha Lo Tzricha, but if you're going to tell me the Reisha that you don't need it, the Seifa Lo Tzricha and the Seifa you don't need it, right? Tani Reisha De Lo Tzricha, but Tani Seifa De Lo Tzricha. Just say that the Reisha and the Seifa that you don't need. So Amar Rav Yitzchak, right? So therefore, basically, from here we could stop here. Basically, that here we're just saying that you didn't need it. Also, not at the beginning, not at the end, but it's not derech of the Mishnah to comment things that you don't need at all. So therefore, for sure, when the Mishnah, the first part of the Mishnah says ve'alai, it's mashma that the ba'ani was only on the Kabbalat Nezirut, the first part, and when you said ve'alai, it's on the second part. That's what we learn right from here.